Well, hello again. Here's another video on some of my reflections and thoughts on MFL teaching in generally, but specifically my sort of expertise at the moment, might change in later life, is language teaching. And I'm just getting in the habit really of producing content every day, trying to get something out there. I'm not really forcing myself to create anything. I realized earlier this week, on the advice of some friends, particularly an acquaintance of mine, Darren Doan, the filmmaker, just create content, just get stuff out there. Don't be precious about the content, just put it out there. I realized actually there was a ton of stuff that I was either wanting to put down in my notebooks, or I'd written down in my notebooks, or 500 of them, or I was putting my notebook on my phone, in my planner, all of these ideas that I thought actually, these are conversation starters and questions and reflections that I want to share with other people. It's not really important whether I'm an extrovert or an introvert. I really care about boosting other people's teaching and having good conversations with people. And I'm not sorry for that. So maybe that'll bring us to the question, what on earth do Luke Skywalker and Yoda have to do with MFL teaching? Maybe quite a lot. And this is hopefully going to be a short video. Again, famous last words, short and snappy, but we will see. The thought I was having really in terms of language teaching, there are a few thoughts that I want to explore in future videos around the idea of online teaching and the best format for students and customers really to get the best deal from the quote expert. I think there's a danger for us as teachers, particularly when we step out of the factory school model, to behave like guilders, and that we've got our guild and customers want to come and learn something, and we behave, like selfish, greedy, self-interested experts. Again, experts in quotation marks. And that's always really bothered me. I think a lot of teachers are really honest, hardworking, caring human beings. But even those people, to whom I hope I'm considered part, we really fall into this problem in terms of sharing our giftings with students and customers. If you want to go online and find a teacher for, say, German, Spanish, whatever, just a language, you're looking at paying £25–30 an hour. And in my opinion, most of the stuff that I've got to teach is not really the language per se. I don't think that's where I'm most needed as a human being, as a human teacher. I don't think the most useful benefit of the teacher to the student is the presence of the teacher. It might be the wisdom of the teacher, but things like grammar, listening tasks, reading comprehension, increasingly I'm coming to see my role as someone who collates good resources, who organizes them well, puts them in a good order, and helps give good feedback and good assessment to my students. I am always going to be an imperfect source of the target language, just because I'm human. Though, I have good days and I have bad days. But if I'm always relying upon myself to be the source of that good content, rather than accepting that I have a more flexible role as someone who's drawing good content from all over the interwebs and the traditional media, I think we put ourselves in a difficult position. It's a very stressful position for ourselves. But also I think it's a dishonest one, it's a disingenuous one, and it's not giving the customer, the student, the best deal, and also not the best learning experience. And that brings me to this idea of Yoda and Luke. Luke, obviously, he was strong in the Force, but it was all raw and unchanneled, and he needed to go and find the wise man, Joseph Campbell's sort of heroic storyline. He needed to find the sage. He needed to find Yoda, the Jedi Master, who could help him channel those things and point him in the right direction, encourage him, motivate him, scold him, assess him, give him good challenges to do, but Yoda couldn't do them for himself. Yoda at that point was an old, his mobility was restricted, let's say. He was still very, very powerful in the Force, but he didn't use his lightsaber because he was so strong in the Force, but his mobility, his ability to move was quite restricted. So he's often there with his walking stick, he's riding on Luke's back, and he's there as a presence next to the student that's Luke. And this is really just a reflection on the role of a teacher. Sometimes as a teacher, specifically a languages teacher, yes, I am an important source of the target language, and I think that's really good. That's actually one of the aspects of the job that I really do enjoy, is being able to use and pursue the foreign languages that I love. But I cannot and I should not consider myself to be an exhaustive source of that. And I need to be humble enough to have more of a Yoda role more often than I would like, and to be ready to bring in different pieces of content to let my students explore. If I can, get them on the right track and point them in the right direction, I can glory in the successes that they have and the motivation that they find by pursuing their interests, and the successes, almost the self-motivated successes that they find, and the ownership that they then take of their language. And I suppose this is a follow-on reflection of how can we make the classroom a launch pad for successful linguists outside of the classroom when they go out into the real world. I just think about something like Khan Academy or Udemy courses, or any sort of recorded content. If the role of the teacher is to be the exclusive source of language and instruction, we're going to get smashed. And probably already have been. If the government wasn't subsidizing and holding up the factory school model, we'd be on our asses. And it really is only because the system at the moment isn't much of a free market that we're not. So I suppose this is part reflection of myself, but also, what do you think? Where do you see the role of automated kind of AI supported video instruction like Khan Academy, and these teaching websites and learning websites? What role do you see them playing? I personally am really excited because I'm seeing my role change. And I want to be innovative. I want to be future oriented. I want to have a mindset about my teaching that I'm making sure I'm getting the best deal for my students, my customers at the end of the day. And I do have some private customers, outside of the classroom. And there's definitely a pressure there, and it's a good pressure to be worthy of the price that they're paying. There's definitely another video worth of reflection about one-to-one teaching as a language teacher, whether that's a model that we should continue to be supporting. I'm increasingly leaning towards small group seminar model. I think better in terms of the interactivity of the exercises, getting students engaging with one another and using the language is far less intense than a one-to-one for both teacher and student. And also it's cost effective. If I just want 40, 50 pounds an hour, I'm actually getting more for the hour with a group than I am, say, with a one-to-one that's 30 pounds. But let's say I've got 7 students and they're all just paying £7. Works for a lot. So those are just some reflections. How can we navigate as teachers being not necessarily in the background, but not being the main character on stage? That we're stepping into a role where we are using our wisdom and our expertise and our organizational skills to provide a great pathway for our students to explore. Really is an open question. I thought about Luke and Yoda over lunchtime, and that's why that's the picture. But yeah, it's a challenge for me to reflect on that. It's hard to include those sorts of things in the curriculum, But I think to myself, if I can't adapt and make sure that I'm providing the best service, that I'm serving the needs of my students and my customers the best, then I'm going to be a dinosaur soon. I'm going to go extinct. I'm not going to be able to support myself or my family. I'm not going to be able to earn good money. And really, I'm not going to be able to push teaching forwards. You know, I want our generation of teachers to be able to navigate this really exciting time. And if that means that we have to smash the guilds and redefine what a teacher means, maybe it's just a question of broadening the idea of a teacher and being okay with mistakes, you know, and failure, and pupils having the breathing space and freedom and the responsibility to do a bit of exploration on their own. I'd love to hear your thoughts, really would. So like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much.